Hello guys, let's give our colleagues some time so that they can join us, right? Then we can start. So let's give ourselves some about 1 or 2 minutes for our colleagues to join us. Okay guys, I think we cannot wait all day for everybody, so I would want to start and then as and when our colleagues join, they continue to journey with us. Hello, Bukari, welcome. So let's just go through. I think assignment two, right? I want us to go through assignment two and let's see a bit of our common errors that I keep seeing, right? I keep mentioning it, but it seems it's still repeating. I hope it stops or it improves during from the third ones and then through to the fourth and the fifth ones. But for the first one and the second one, the mistake keeps repeating. And that is with the answering of the questions, right? When we look at the assignment questions, after the formatting part, and we look at the filtering and sorting part, right? We are supposed to do the filtering and the sorting on one sheet, right? You just open one sheet and you do your filtering and sorting here. So as you can see, I've done my filtering, only Accra data is here, right? And then the second question was to sort it according to the fare. So the first should be in descending order, that is from the highest to the lowest. So that is what is over here. And then another filtering was the surge multiplier. We said we have to filter to show everything above 1.0, right? So as you can see, this data here, everything is 1 point something and above, right? There's no 1.0 here, right? So you do this filtering on one sheet and you are done, right? But the mistake some of us are making here is that we are filtering, and after we filter, we continue to try to answer these questions, the rest of the questions, and we always get wrong answers because some of the data, most of it is gone. So if you just use this to fetch your answer, you are running at a loss, right? Because some of the things are not in the filtering. Once you filter them out, they are gone, right? So they will not be considered when you apply your count all and average and those things, it will not consider the filtered out data, right? So you're supposed to do the filtering in one sheet. Then you go to another sheet, you do the same process that we use, right? You right click, go to move or copy, then move to the end, select or create a copy, and then click on OK, and then you get a new sheet to be available for you to now start doing your analysis proper, right? So when you use the filtered sheet, you use it for the move or copy. When you move or copy it, you realize that the filtering is still active, right? Anywhere there's a funnel, it means the filtering is still active, right? So what I do is I click on the funnel, come and select everything. Now everything is showing. Then there's this one as well, right? There's another filtering here. I'll select that, remove all the filtering, right? And everything is back to the old state, right? And then we can start working. Is that okay? So just like this, everything is now back. All our 500 row data is all showing. Now when you start to answer your questions, you do your analysis. Let me see, I think I've done it over here. Yes. Realize that you did not get all your answers correctly, right? But if you go and use the filtered data, right, to give you different results. So let me do one here. This is for the number of fair, right? Remember that some of the fair, I think, yes, some of the values were missing, right? And we wanted to count to know the total number of cells that are the fair values, right? The proper answer is supposed to be 497, right? But if you filter out and you come and do that calculation, let's see what it will say. So count, I'll select my count. Then we are counting the first, so I come here, press Ctrl and Shift, press the down arrow key. It highlights everything, right? So I'll be thinking I'm correct. I'll close my brackets, press on Enter, and it says the answer is 480, right? Which is not the same as 497, right? So if you do something like this, while the filtering is still active, even though you have a good formula, but your answer is not correct, right? I can't give it to you as a correct answer. All right. And then the same applies to maybe the max. You might get the max, right? Because if the max is still something like Accra, let's say, if the max is in the Accra side, and since you filtered and you are seeing only the Accra side, you are likely to get the answer, right? So the max for what? The maximum fair, right? The maximum fair. So max for the maximum fair, and we are here again. Control Shift down arrow, come up, close my bracket. Let me clean this stuff. Good. Right, it says 59.97. When we come to the unfiltered data, 59. Yes, so because the Accra is still in Accra, it will show you as 59.797, right? But if it is in another city, right, and you filter it out, it will not show you this value, and that means you also get this wrong, right? So some of us ended up getting this first two wrong, and then we got this correct, and then I think the mean distance is also in Accra. So those who even did the thing on the filtering sheet still got this correct as well, right? But they definitely got this wrong too. The average, they got it wrong as well. So let's take note. You have to unfilter, or when you create another sheet, you have to unfilter it before you do your analysis. And then there was one question that I added that is, I think, ahead of the class. So I think that should be section 10 for 5. No, not that. Yes, question 11. It says, which city appears to generate the highest total fare? We'll look at how to do that today, right? We'll look at how to do that today. And that is ahead of us. So I give that question 11 as a bonus. I didn't consider it as a math. I just give it to everybody. So let's not worry about that. We are going to look at it today. We'll look at how to handle such a question today. And then what other thing? Yes, and then still some of us are answering the question. We just need two, right? We just need to create two sheets, one for the filtering and then one for the analysis. That's all. So you're supposed to answer all the analytical questions like this, right? Just like this, either like this horizontally, or you can do it vertically. And then when it gets to the last question, which is what business insights can Uber gain from this data, you are just supposed to go to your home menu, and then you would find, is it home menu? Let's see, text box. Text box should be in insert, right? So you go to insert, and yes, here's the text box in insert. You click on it, you draw it out, then you answer your questions here, right? If you have 5 things that you think Uber can find, you put them here. If there are 10, you put everything over here, right? So that was what I expected some of us to do, all of us to do. But some of us are answering every question in a separate sheet, right? So create one sheet to answer one question, create another sheet to answer another question. It's just so not necessary, right? So just 2 sheets, that's all. One for the filtering, right? And then the filtering and sorting on one sheet, and then you open the next one, and then you just do all your analysis over here, and you are done. Okay, so that was a recap of what you were expected to do in assignment 2. I hope by assignment 3 we are good. So I've started marking the assignment 2. If I haven't received yours, and it's in the pipeline, right? It will get to you very shortly. So I've started handling that as well. I would like to use the same assignment to the Uber question for today's class. So if you have your assignment 2, you can quickly launch it, and then we use it to handle today's class. Today we are looking at something that I gave to us in the assignment, which I didn't teach in class. So I'll just brush through it and then we continue. So we are looking at the conditional formatting. I just mentioned it in the assignment, but we didn't look at it. So we'll look at it today. Conditional formatting. Then we'll look at average if. Then we'll look at, is there something like max if? We'll find out. But I know there is is it minimum if? Let's see. Then what other if? There's one more if. We have count if. Then we have average. No, we've talked about average. We have sum if, right? We have sum if. So these guys, right? We are looking at these guys today. We'll look at these guys, and then we'll look at some practical ways of using them, and we'll call it a night, right? Okay. So let's get started. Let me insert some so that these guys go a bit further. Okay, good. So this is what we have. This is our data we are going to work with. We are first of all going to look at the conditional formatting, and then we'll look at the average ones. So I think in assignment 4, we're given a certain question that says that we should highlight all a particular column, right? Some cells in a column that contain some word, right? That is conditional formatting. So we'll look at that, and then yeah, we'll look at how to use it when the cell contains words or text, and then when the cells contains numbers, right? We'll look at how to use them. So let's start with how to use it when the cell contains text. To do that, we'll use the column B, right? The column B contains text, only text data, right? So names of the cities, right? So we'll use the column B for this. You can equally use the column C, right? Or the D as well, but let's stick with the column B. Good. So let's say we want to highlight all the cities, the Tamale cities. We want to highlight them, right? We want to highlight them to make them stand out. Okay. So to do that, we have to highlight all of them, right? Because we are going to use all the data under the city column, we highlight all of them, and we don't have to highlight the first column as part of it, the heading. We don't have to highlight it. So we just come to the first data, Control Shift, and then the down arrow to highlight everything. Now, when we are, yes, before I forget, let me quickly use column A, right? I use column A to do this example so that we all get to understand. So I'll come to column cell A3, right? That's where the first data for column A is, right? Now I'll press and hold Shift and Control, then the down arrow. You realize that when I do that, it's highlighted everything all the way to where there is an empty cell. It doesn't highlight it, it stops there. So what I realized is that some of us, when we are highlighting our data, we don't take into consideration the fact that when we are highlighting and it gets to an empty cell, it will stop, leaving all this data behind, right? So when we were asked to count data like this, I think one of the questions asked us to find the the number of cells with fair, right? Let me see that question. Where is that question? Yes, use count all to count the total number of trip IDs, right? Like I did, right? The trip IDs. That was what I did over here. So these are the trip IDs. Control Shift down arrow. Once we do this, and then we think we are done. Meanwhile, we've left all this data, right? So that means your answer you provided is going to be incorrect. I don't want to mention names, but I told someone today that I'll tackle this in the class, right? So it's a good thing I remembered. She knows herself, right? She knows herself. I hope she's part of us. Yes, so if you do that and you get here, you realize that it stops. All you have to do is still press Control Shift and then the down arrow, and then it will continue. When it is continuing to the next empty cell, right? So you just have to Control Shift, press the down. Oops. This thing just messed up everything. Okay, so let me restart it. Control Shift down arrow gets to the first empty cell, it stops. Control Shift down arrow gets to the next empty cell, and then it stops. And then you keep on all the way to you make sure you get to the very bottom, right? And then you can now start doing all your various you can close your brackets if you are writing a function, and then you get a correct answer, right? That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is also to select the first cell, press down Control Shift again, but this time you press the page down key on your keyboard. When you look on your keyboard, I think it is at the extreme top right corner, right? On my keyboard, that's where it is, right above the subtraction key, right? page down, PGDN, right? PGDN. You can look for it on your keyboard. That's the page down key, right? So if you select here, Control Shift, and then you press the page down. Oh, my page down is not working. Oh, this thing. Oh, okay. Sorry. It's rather supposed to be the end key. Sorry, not the page down. Oh, teacher. Right, so Control Shift and then the end key, right, on your keyboard, the end key. Now that one will bring you all the way to the very bottom of the data, but it will highlight everything, right? So what you do is you bring your cursor to the bottom left corner on the dots, right, for the cursor to change into the plus sign, and then you click and drag, right? You click and drag to the actual column. Hey, what is happening? This thing will not let me rest. Why has it cleared my data? That is not supposed to happen. Control Z. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so the end key, let me see. That is confusing. Let me clear this, guys. It's not supposed to highlight them. Clear this, guys. Okay, then let me try and use probably this column H. So Control Shift, the end key is still okay. And then let me drag. It's not supposed to clear it, but it's clearing it. Okay. I'll figure it out, and then in the next class I'll let us know, because I use it a lot. Sometimes you don't want to waste time when you get to the next, and then you have to be this. I actually use that way, but I don't want to waste our time trying to figure it out. Okay, so I'll figure it out off stream, and then the next time I'll point it out to us again. But let's continue. Let's look at what we are supposed to focus on for today. We were to highlight column B, right? So all the values under column B, right? So the first one is in B3. I click the Shift Control and then the down arrow key. There are no empty spaces, right? So everything is highlighted all the way to the very last cell, right? Now, after I highlight everything, I can now go into, I beg you, from every now and then, just be dropping likes, be commenting, just say anything, right? Anything. If the teacher is not doing well, say, hey, teacher, you're not doing well at all. You see that thing, then I know my people are here. Okay, so for every now and then, let's say something so that I know I'm not offline. Okay, so we do that, then we go to our toolbar. Make sure you are in the home menu, right? So if you have clicked anywhere, make sure you come and click back on the home menu. Then you'll see under the styles tab, you'll see this guy called the conditional formatting, right? Conditional formatting. We select it, and then we have various styles we can apply depending on the value in our cells, right? So we can come to the very first part, right? The very first option. If yeah, I'm sure you guys are not seeing my drop down, but when you click on the conditional formatting, you see various drop downs. You see highlight cell rules, top, bottom, data bars, color scales, icon sets, a lot of them, right? We will work with the first one for this particular one. We are looking at highlighting all the cells that contain the town Tamale, right? So we are going to highlight everything that is Tamale. So in the first option is highlight cell rules, right? So we click on that, and then it will open another pop-up, right? Right next to it, it will open another pop-up. We'll see greater than, less than, between. Those things, we can use them when we are dealing with numbers, right? But we are not dealing with numbers right now, we are dealing with text. So since we are dealing with text, we will work with the equal to, right? We can either work with the equal to or text that contain. But right now I want us to work with the equal to. So we select the equal to, it will open another pop-up, and then you see the cursor blinking in a text box, a text space. It's asking us for what are we going to check. Then you just write the tamale over there, right? So just spell out the tamale in your box that appears, right? You see that once you start typing tamale, it has highlighted all of them in red, right? Just like over here. Now, if you don't like the red color, you can change that. Next to where you type your name, you see width and then another box which says light red fill with dark red text. When you click on the drop down next to that, there's a drop down, you will see different colors. So you have yellow fill with dark yellow text. When I click on that, you see that tamale, everything there has changed into yellow. Then if I select the green fill with dark green text, see that it changes from yellow to green, right? So this is how you can highlight a particular text in a column, right? Just to know how many they are or how frequent they appear, right? So we can leave it at the green and click on OK, and then you see that all our tamales are now nicely labeled in a green background, right? I'll take it again so that those of us who didn't get it will understand. Let me see. Yeah, my people are responding. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So every time I beg you'll be dropping things for me so that, yeah. Okay. Let me take it again. This time I'm going to use the Kumasi ones, right? Or let's use Study. Let's use Study. Study is a bit fewer, right? So I think Kumasi will be more, but Study is a bit fewer. So let's use Study. So we select B3 again, Control Shift and then the down arrow key. We highlight everything. In our home menu, under our styles tab, we click on our conditional formatting. A pop-up appears. We go to highlight cells rules, right? Another pop-up will appear next to it. Then we go to the equal to. We select the equal to. And then it's asking us, what do you want me to check in this column for you, right? So we just spell out Takoradi, right? We just spell out Takoradi. Right now, as we are spelling, realize that it has highlighted it in red, right? And maybe we don't want it to be highlighted in red, we want it to be highlighted in, say, yellow. Next to where we type, we will say width, and then another box there where the colors has appeared. There's a drop down next to it. When you click on that drop down, you can change the colors, right? So we have light red, yellow, green, light red fill, red text, red border. You can actually even select the custom format and select your own colors, right? But since you can't see my screen, I don't want to stress out so much. So we can just select the yellow for the Takoradi, and then we click on OK, and then you see that our Takoradi guys are now yellow. Yellow, 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 yellow. Very good. I think I showed this in the previous assignment where there was a video attached to it. Okay, so let's go on. That is for conditional formatting with text. Okay, that is with text. What about with numbers? Let's say we want to do conditional formatting with numbers. Let's look at how to do numbers, and then we wrap up on conditional formatting. So with that, we can use the column E, right? So we have our trip distance. we have our trip distance. We have to select cell E3, which is the first cell in column E with data. Control Shift down arrow highlights everything. Then we go to our home conditional formatting under the styles tab. Then with numbers, we are very free to do a lot of things, right? So when you click on the conditional formatting and the drop down appears, I think I've showed us how to use the 3 colors, right? How to use it in the previous assignment, so I will not waste much time on that. Let's look at the highlight cells values, right? The highlight cells rules. And then we can look at how to highlight greater than, right? So let's do the greater than. Let's do the greater than one, right? So conditional formatting, highlight cells rules, then you go to the greater than option. So let's select that. Realize that it has already picked the number. Mine is 17.995, right? So when you look in the column, you realize that anything that is higher than 17.995 has been highlighted in red, right? But if that is not what we want, we can clear the 17 point whatever there, and then let's say we will say anything greater than 25, right? Anything greater than 25, right, should be highlighted with red. We like the red. If we don't like it, we just click on the drop down, and then let's say we want it highlighted in green, right? So we can select the green color. You can select the green color, and then we click on OK, and then you realize that anything that is above 25 is in green color. So 21.18 is not in green, 10 and all those ones, they are not in green, right? So that is how we can use the numbers. You can try out data on your own. You can try out the less than, the in between two numbers. Just play with it. Make sure you get comfortable with it so that, yes, when you are preparing your Excel sheet, you can stand out, right? Okay, so that's about conditional formatting. Let's look at the other if statements, right? So we've been looking at ifs for the past 3 sessions. Today is the last time we are doing ifs. So let's look at how to combine some of our basic statistics with the if statement, right? So something like average if, sum if, count if, and all those things. Okay, so to do that, let's say let's look at our fares, right? I think there was one question that I said I gave to you as bonus. Let's go back to the questions. That was at question 11. Which city appears to generate the highest total fare? Which city appears to generate the highest total fare? Right, so we are going to tackle this question for learning purposes, right? Okay, so we are going to find, let's look at how many cities we have, right? Look at the number of cities we have, and then we'll try to get their total fares. So I'll click on my filtering, right, for the city column. I'll click on my filtering. Then I can know the number of cities that are in this table, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities. And I know we have Accra, Cape Coast, Kumasi, Takoradi, and then Tamale, right? So these 6 cities, right? We are going to find the totals for these cities. Okay, so when I come here, we are going to find their total fares. So all the fares in trips under Accra, we'll find them. All the total fares for cities under Kumasi, we'll find them on and on and on. So I write here Accra, I write here Kumasi, Cape Coast, Tamale, and Takoradi. Good. So these are our various cities. So let's start with Accra. We want to find out the fares, total fares for all the Accra rides. So we start with, to do that, that means we are going to be working with two columns, our column B and our column G, right? So our focus is on our city column and then our fares column. We have to extract all the fares that are Accra. If it is not Accra, we don't need it, right? So to do that, we are going to use, because we are finding total. Total means we are adding everything together. We are summing everything up. We are going to use the sum if, right? So equal to sum if, right? So once you start typing, you realize that it appears in your drop down, then you just select it, sum if. Now, when you select the sum if function, the first thing it's asking you is for the range, right? It's for the range. What range are we going to sum, right? We all know the range we are going to sum. The range we are going to sum falls under the fares column, right? It falls under the fares column. So we select column G3 because that's the first, cell G3 because that's the first cell with the value, right? So cell G3, then Control Shift and then the down arrow. Realize that it has highlighted from here all the way to the next empty cell. We are not done, right? So still Control Shift, down arrow, and we are going on. We are still not done. Control Shift, down arrow, not done. Control Shift, down arrow, all the way. I think this is it, right? All the way to the very last data. We've highlighted all the columns. Now it's going to consider all these columns when it's going to sum, right? So that's the range. These guys you have selected here are the range is going to sum, right? Then we bring a comma. Once we bring a comma, it's now asking us for, oops, sorry. Guys, sorry. Hey, this teacher, God, this teacher will bring problem. This teacher will bring problem. Oh, sorry. We are supposed, the range is supposed to be our, where our cities are, right? Where our cities are. That's where we are supposed to start with first. Hey, this teacher, oh my God. I beg, if your teacher is not good, just type in the comment section. Teacher, you are not good. I beg, eh? So we are supposed to use the range and the city as our range, okay? So cell B3, right? So we start with cell B3, Control Shift, and then the down arrow, right? Because there are no empty spaces, it brought us straight away to the last cell, right? Okay. We now have our range. We bring our comma, and then it's asking us for the criteria. The criteria here is the value in this range that is going to be comparing, right? And the value here is supposed to be Accra, if you remember, right? So we have given all this column to it, right? That everywhere you find the word Accra, then you do the next thing that will tell you to do, okay? So since it is Accra, we put it in apostrophe. Remember, I told you that anytime you are writing a text, you have to put it in apostrophe. So we bring a comma, then we bring an apostrophe, and then we just write the Accra. Then we close it with another ending apostrophe, right? So this is our criteria. So it's going to look in all this column, this range, anywhere to find the word Accra, it is going to do something. Now, what is that thing that it is supposed to do? That thing will come after the next comma. So we'll bring comma again. Now it is asking us the sum range. right? The sum range. Where am I going to look for the numbers that I'm supposed to add when I see Accra in column B, right? Now, when you look at what we've done so far, we are saying that sum if in the range or in the column B, right, from B3 all the way to B502 as our range. Now, anywhere you see the word Accra, we want you to add something. What do you want me to add? So we are now going to provide Excel with that thing. And that addition range or that sum range is in column G, right? Where the fare is in column G. Okay, so we start with the first cell, which is cell G3, right? Control Shift down arrow, and because there is an empty space, it will stop over here, but we have to continue. So Control Shift down arrow, Control Shift down arrow, still not complete. Control Shift down arrow, yes, and this time we are at the very last range, right? Good. So this is what we have done so far. We are telling Excel that we want you to sum anything in this range, the city range, that is Accra. We want you to sum the fare for us so that we know all the total fares that was generated in Accra. Are you okay? Once we do that, we are ready and we can now close our bracket. So Shift and then 0 to close your bracket and you press enter. Now when we do that, it fetches us the total price for all the trips in Accra. And it says it is 3,089 cedis 50 pesos, right? And it has omitted the Ghana cedis. So I can go to, make sure you are in your home, then you go to the numbers tab, and then you change the number type to currency so that we know that you are dealing with money, right? So all the total fares in Accra has been listed over here for us. Okay, now let's go to Kumasi, right? The same process, we don't change anything, only the value, right, that will change, only the value that will change. So equal to sum if, we select sum if, then our range is in the city range, so column cell B3, Control Shift down arrow to get the entire thing. We bring our comma, then our criteria now changes from Accra to Kumasi. We close that and then we bring another comma. Now our sum range is in column G, so cell G3 has the first value. Control Shift down arrow, Control Shift down arrow, Control Shift down arrow, Control Shift down arrow. Yeah, and we are now at the very last cell. We go back up and we can now close the bracket and hit on our enter key, and the total fare generated in Kumasi has been generated for us. So you don't have to do this manually, right? Look at Kumasi, then get the price, then go and add, come to the next one, go and add and be adding, and you do this the whole God-given day, right? Excel knows that you and I are very lazy people. We would not like to do something like that. So yeah, they've handled this for us. So let's do for Cape Coast. Sum if, right? Our range is still the same. So B3, Control Shift down arrow all the way to the bottom. We come back up, comma. Our criteria now is Cape Coast, Cape Coast, Cape Coast, right? Cape Coast. We close the apostrophe, bring a comma, and then our sum range starts from G3 again. Then Control Shift down arrow, 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 Control Shift down arrow. Yeah, and we are done. Good. Once we get that, we close our brackets and we hit on our enter key. We have our fare for Cape Coast. Good. Now we bring our currency and we are good to go. Looking great, looking great. Yeah. Your teacher is good. And your teacher is good, you have to tell him it's good. And when it's bad, you tell him, teacher, we're born. I'll take it in good faith. Take it in good faith. Okay. Sum if for Tamale this time, our range is in the CD range. So start with B3, Control Shift down arrow, we get to the bottom, we bring a comma, then our criteria this time changes to Tamale. Yes, comma, then our sum range is in column G, so we start with cell G3, Control Shift down arrow, Control Shift down arrow, Control Shift down arrow. Oops, yes, yeah. I down arrowed myself. Sorry about that. I'll close the bracket, enter, and then we have the fare for Tamale, the total fare, right? So the question 11, right? This is how we are supposed to answer it. This is what we are supposed to do to answer it. So in fact, I knew I had gone ahead and to be a whole lot of problem, right? So I didn't even bother looking at this question. It was a bonus for everybody. Once you do this, you can be able to just look at the values and know which city is up. So far, Cape Coast, right? So far, Cape Coast is winning. So let's look at Takoradi and see if Takoradi will overtake everybody. Okay, sum if, double click on sum if, and then our range is B3 down, Control Shift down arrow to the last cell. We bring our comma. This time our criteria is Takoradi. Very good. Then our sum range starting G3. Control Shift down arrow, Control Shift down arrow. Yeah, I didn't down arrow myself this time. Close my bracket and then enter. Oh, Takoradi couldn't do what Napoleon couldn't do. So Cape Coast is still our reigning king. Okay, so just from looking at this data like this, right, you know straight away that Cape Coast is a hot spot for Uber, right? And then probably this is just for one day, right? It might change. Maybe there is some fancy festival going on in Cape Coast, so Cape Coast is late, right, on that day, right? So Cape Coast will be raining, right? Then maybe in Christmas, when Christmas is for Tadi, so that Tadi will be raining. And then in Tamale, when it's time for the Tamale festivals and things, Tamale will be raining. And then Kumasi and Accra on other days as it goes on. So probably it's just for a day, right? Single days. Okay, so the dates are even attached to it, right? The dates are even attached to it. Good. All right, so that is it. Cape Coast came out on top. And based on that, we have looked at how to use the sum if function. So we check that off our list. Our next one is to use the count if, right? The next thing is to use the count if. Let's look at the column that we can use for count if. Yeah, we can use column C, right? Column C has a bit of repetition. It has a bit of repetition. So let's see if we can use it. Or if we can use just count if, or we have to, there's a count all if, right? So we'll find that out shortly. Let's count the total number of Uber Black, right? Let's count the total number of Uber Black. Okay, so let's do that. I think we can do that under over here. So want to know the total number of Uber Black. Okay, so we are here now equal to, let me see if there's a count all if, or just a count if, and if there's just count if it will work. So in my drop down, I'm saying count or count blank. Yeah, so there's even a count blank that we can use to count cells that are blank, right? So you can just get the blank cells and know their total number. You can use count blank to do that. I think there's only count if. So let's try and use the count if it will work for text, right? Because I know it will work for numbers, but let's see if it will work for text as well. So count if, and then the first thing it's asking us for is the range. And the range is in the column C, right? So we start with the first cell with the value, which is C3. As usual, Control Shift and then our down arrow. Because there are no empty or blank cells, it brings us all the way to the very last data. Good. Then we bring our comma, and then it's asking us for the criteria. What do you want me to look for, or what do you want me to count in this range? What we wanted to count for us is anything that contains the word Uber Black, right? Anything that contains the word Uber Black. We wanted to count it for us. So we just put it there, we close our bracket, right? Then we can press on our enter key to find out the total number of Uber Blacks. Okay, so I hit my enter, and straight away we are seeing that our total number of Uber Blacks is 138, right? So you don't have to be counting it. So how many number of Uber Blacks we have in this company? 1, 2, 3. Hey, Kojo, come and do this for me. Okay, so I'm coming. Hey, where did I get to? Then go and start. 1, 2, 3. Right, so yeah. Hope you get the picture. This is way easier. Okay, all right. So let's see. Since we've counted the Uber Blacks, let's also count the Uber Comfort, right? Let's look at the Uber Comfort, and then we'll move on to another thing. Okay, Uber Comfort. Then let's count that as well. Equal to count if. Our range is still in C3 all the way, so Control Shift all the way down, comma, and then our criteria this time is Uber Comfort. So Uber Comfort. Close our brackets, hit our enter, and then straight up we know that there are 134 Uber Comfort vehicles. Okay, so that's for the count if. Okay, so far we've used the count if for text. Let's use it on numbers so that we know that the count if is flexible. So let's count and the trip duration. Let's count all trip durations that are above 50 minutes, right? Let's count trip durations that are above 50 minutes. Okay, so duration above 50, right? Duration above 50, that's what you are counting. Equal to count if, right? Our range is in F3 all the way down. So Control Shift down arrow gets all the full data or the full range. We bring our comma, and then our criteria is above, so greater than, right? So we bring greater than 50, greater than 50. If this works, then that is it. If it doesn't work, you're on your own. Okay, so we bring our bracket like this, then we press on enter, and then it's telling us that no, this is an error, right? This is an error. So let's find out how we can correct the error. Okay, why didn't it give us an answer? It's because of this side, how we wrote the criteria. Excel doesn't understand what you have written. Okay, so let's put this greater than 50 in quotation, right? Put it in quotation and see if it will understand. If it doesn't understand, then only God can help you and I. Yeah, it understood perfectly, right? So it's telling us that if we count all the durations, we are going to find 235 columns that are above 50. So I think I rushed it. Let me do it again so that my people will follow. Okay, so equal to count if, right? So we double click on the count if, then it's asking for the range. The range is it starts from cell F3, Control Shift down arrow to highlight everything, right? We bring our comma, and the criteria, because we want to bring equal to, greater than, all those mathematical formulas, Excel get confused. So if you don't want it to get confused, just put the whole formula in a quotation mark. So greater than, and then you put the 50, then close that apostrophe, right? So it's going to read it like a text, right? But it will execute it like a mathematical formula, okay? We close the brackets to tell it that we are finished writing our function or our formula. When we press on our enter keyboard, it will do the calculation for us, okay? So you can use it for the numbers you have. It's very flexible. You can use it to find less than, you can use it to find greater than, you can use it to find equal to, and on and so forth. You realize that with the text, you can use it to find equal to something, right? But with numbers, we are flexible. Okay, let's focus now on what we average if, right? So we are done with count if. Let's get that out. I don't know if there is a mean if. Let me see if there's a mean if. I doubt. Yes, there's no mean if, and there's no max if too. Yeah, I think it's in very recent Excel. So I think, is it Excel 20? The latest ones, right, is inside. There are max if and min if. So if you get the latest Excel, you will get all those functions, right? Okay, but there is average if. Okay, so let's do average if right now. Let's find the average of all our Tamale rides, right? We want to find the average for, or in fact, let's find the average for all these guys, like how we've done over here. Let's find the average of all the various cities. This is, mind you, this is the total for all the various cities. Let's now find the average for all the various cities, okay? So still Accra, good, and then Kumasi, and then Cape, and then Tamale, and then Tadi. Very good. So let's start with Accra, equal to average, and then you see average if you double click on average if, and then it's asking for the range, right? So the range is still starts from B3. So B3, Control Shift down arrow, highlights everything. We come up, we bring our comma, and then our criteria is anything that is Accra, right? Anything that is Accra is what you are going to average. Then we bring our comma, and then it's now asking us, what do you want me to average for you? Which range, right? We want you to average the fair range, right? The fair range. So G3, Control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow to the very last. I didn't over down arrow. Yeah, I am that good now. Good. Close my brackets, press my enter key, and yeah, the magic still continues. The magic still continues. Yeah. This is purely me and my students. We are working magic today. Very good. So let's go to Kumasi. So that means on average, Accra drivers are making 30 cedis per trip, right? So let's find out the rest. So let's look at average for Kumasi equal to average if double click. Our range still stays the same, B3 all the way to the very last city. We come up, comma, our criteria is anything Kumasi. Good. Bring our comma, then our average range can be found in G3, control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow. Oh, now I'm good. Oh, I'm not overflowing. I'm very, very, very good. Good. We close the bracket. We press our enter. Hey, Kumasi, what is going on? Lots of coins. Anyway, let's change it to the account currency, right? Yes, it's rounded up nicely for us. Rounded up nicely. Kumasi funny coins. Oh, let's go to Cape Coast. Average if, double click. Average if, then we still select our range as usual. Then we go back up, bring our criteria. This time we are dealing with the Cape Coast guys. Yeah. Then from there we go to the average range for the fare. So G3, control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow. Yeah, I can't even overflow again. Oh, good, 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 good. I close the bracket, enter, and hey, Cape Coast people also like coins a lot. So let's change it to currency. Good. It's looking good. Yeah. Now let's deal with, hey, but it's amazing how Cape Coast generated more money than Accra, but on average, Accra drivers are making more than Cape Coast. Hey, yeah, this data is very good, right? This is a very insightful data. If you go and do this and give it to your boss will just be worshiping you. You can't leave this company, right? Okay, so let's do for Tamale as well. Let's do for Tamale. Average if, and then our range is still in B3 all the way down. Good. Then our criteria this time is Tamale. I beg, make sure you spell your things right, otherwise you might be getting some errors you don't understand. Okay, then our fare average. So from G3, control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow. I can't even overflow. Yeah, very good. Good, 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 good. We close our brackets once again. And yeah, Tamale people too like some small coins, so we change it to currency. Then we do for Takoradi the very last one, very last one. Double click on average if, same range, nothing is, oops, oh, I've overflowed for the first time in a long, oh man. Okay, sorry about that. Then we go to our criteria. This time our criteria is Takoradi. Always look at your spelling, right? Otherwise, if you misspell, you'll get into trouble. Takoradi, bring our comma, then our average range is in G3, control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow, control shift down arrow. Yeah, pepe. Very good. We close the bracket, then enter. Hey, 34 per coins. Okay, so we just change it to currency. And oh, look at that. Would you believe that? So it turns out Tardy drivers are even making more than Accra drivers on average, right? On average. Oh, Tamale. Oh, my guys. Tamale guys are reigning, right? So on average, the Tamale driver is making more money. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Because I think Tamale is way bigger than Accra. So it actually makes sense, right? Yeah, that makes sense. This data is very relevant, right? Very relevant. Okay, so we have dealt with all the things, all the mountains we wanted to climb for today. So let's get average if off, and then conditional one was the first one, so it's also gone. Good. So this is what we have done for today. We've done some conditional formatting where we format our cells based on the values in the cells, right? In the columns, right? We use our conditional formatting to make whatever we are interested in stand out, right? So if you are working on Accra data or Tamale data alone, you can use the conditional formatting to do that. Or if you are interested, you can use your filtering to filter out whatever you want. But if you want to show everything and highlight some of the things, you use your conditional formatting to do that. Then we moved on to other forms of the if condition, where we use the sum if, right? Then we came to the count if, then we looked at the average if as well. Okay, so today has been very interesting. This is the topic we have treated for today. If there are questions, you can put them in the comment section, and if you want to say that your teacher is not, you can equally write it here. I'll read it and then I'll look for your name. Then I'll give you 0000. So put it here and then you see those who don't like me. Okay, so that's it for today. All right, that's the class for today. I would follow up with our assignments, and then I'm still marking the previous ones. Okay, so let's keep going on. We have a few more sessions, and then we wrap up our classes. Okay, but as it's going on, you can share your feedback if things are going on well for you. If something is not going on right and you want to suggest some things, you can do that all the time on Discord and on WhatsApp. We can always do that. Okay, if there are any questions, okay, let's keep them coming. Bukari and Astrans, thank you. If there are questions, we can bring them. Don't feel anything. We are here to learn, so anything at all. And yes, please, I beg, if you have questions related to the course, put it in the main group, because sometimes if you write me, it takes a while, right? Because I might be doing something and your colleagues may be available, right? So just put it in the group and then they'll attend to you. But if it's personal, you can still write to me when I'm available. I'll attend to you. Okay? All right. So since I'm not getting any questions, I believe we are all good for today. Let's prepare for Saturday. In the meantime, our assignments will still keep coming. All right. So good night and have a lovely sleep. Bye-bye.